Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Affirmative Talk Show. I am super excited about this episode. If we can get about a minute or two to give it time for people to jump in on this live before I get started. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So, on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the importance of budgeting. The importance of budgeting your money. I dedicated a segment far as where I'm going to be going over several quotes about just the importance of budgeting your money because oftentimes um, people can fall into financial situations based off on spending money that they don't have yet. What I mean by that, for an example, people could be spending money by using credit cards. And yes, credit cards is definitely good to have. But if you're not responsible enough, if you're not mature enough, and you're spending and swiping that credit card and you don't have the money to be able to pay it back, it's definitely going to put you in a financial bind. And I'm speaking this from professional standpoint. My name is Samuel Richardson. I am a board certified credit consultant and I am a certified credit repair specialist as well. And that is something where I go over with my clients about the importance of budgeting your money because once we get your credit score to a good place, what you want to do is you want to be able to have at least a couple of credit cards, but you want to be able to use them responsibly. So if you don't have the money and you're swiping your credit card, then you're not able to pay back. And then what that is another sign of debt that's going to be coming your way. And we all know, as far as dealing with your credit utilization, that is very important in keeping your credit score at a good score because the higher your debt, the lower your credit score can be, and it can take a significant hit because your credit utilization is too high, and this can actually prevent you from getting a mortgage loan, for an example, because your DTI, your debt to income ratio, is higher than the recommended amount, which could be way over 30% if you're not careful. So the rule of thumb that I tell my clients is that you definitely want to stay below 30% of your credit utilization rate. But if you can get it below 15%, that's even better. So budgeting your money is very important. And I want to be able to have this segment where I go over several quotes about the importance of budgeting your money. Now we have one quote here is that it says is that budgeting isn't about limiting yourself. It's about making the things that excite you possible. Another quote says is that a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. That's by Dave Ramsey. Then we have another quote about budgeting by William that says that a budget tell us what we can't afford, but it doesn't keep us from buying it. I think that's worthy of saying that again. A budget tells us what we can't afford, but it doesn't keep us from buying it. If you're watching me on this video, how many of us that have seen something that we wanted and know that is out of our budget, but sometimes we don't have the discipline or the focus enough to say, I don't need that right now. That is a want and not a need. but we go off our impulses and saying, you know what, because I want it so bad, I'm willing to go over my budget to get what I want. And that's the sign of not having a disciplined perspective from a financial literacy to understand you need to stay within your budget. By staying within your budget, it allows you to develop good discipline habits in knowing how to manage money. There's been a saying out here for years is that sometimes people will say that I need to make more money. But oftentimes though, if you go into the details of your budget, it's not the fact that you need more money, it's the fact you need to know how to budget your money. Because I promise you, the more money that you make, the more you will be going in debt because you will spend more than you actually have. Can I get a like on that? Because I think that was pretty good. Another quote is by our former president, Barack Obama. He said that a budget is more than just a series of numbers on a page, it is an embodiment of our values. And these are some good quotes because budgeting is very essential in our life. And we need to understand the value of money, the value of managing our money properly so that we can continue to grow and have a finance stability perspective and be able to get the things that we really want. So I wanted to definitely go over a couple more quotes. One of the quotes here is that it says that a wise person, a wise person should have money in their head, but not in their heart. Do you agree with that? A wise person should have money in their head, but not in their heart. Another quote is saying by Phil Graham is that balancing the budget is like going to heaven. Everybody wants to do it, but nobody wants to do what you have to do to get there. And that's a very true statement is that it sounds very easy from our mouths, but we have to understand is that you have to be very disciplined to understand the value of money. A person that knows how to budget, a person that is disciplined in managing their money, and they could be making $40,000 a year, can be far more ahead than a person that's making $140,000 a year, because a person that knows how to budget their money knows how to have a good, strong foundation of investing your money properly the right way. I have a couple more quotes that I wanted to go over. We have quotes right here. We have one by Leslie. Leslie said about quote about budgeting is that budgeting only has one rule. One rule: do not go over budget. Jamie said that if you want creativity, take a zero off your budget. If you want sustainability, take off two zeros. Then a quote by Rosette said that budgeting is not just for people who don't have enough money, it is for everyone who wants to ensure that their money is enough. And it is so very important with all these quotes is to have the sense that, you know what, I definitely need to make sure that I'm budgeting my money correctly. I have another quote that says that money isn't about buying bigger and better things. It's about being prepared to take care of your family. And that's one of my personal favorites right there. Is that money isn't about buying bigger and better things. It's about being prepared to take care of your family. Let me give you an example. Is that I'm not saying that it's wrong to buy the finer things in life that you want, but you want to be disciplined enough to know what can you afford. Just because you have it in the bank doesn't mean that you can afford it. And you want to make sure that you're very mindful of this when you're talking about budgeting your money, is having the mindset to understand sometimes my wants is not bigger than my needs. And I need to be prepared to make sure that I'm continually to build generational wealth. I need to make sure the importance of building and generating passive income. So that way I have consistent money that's coming in, because who knows? Who knows or what may happen in my life? Something may happen in my family's life that we may need to have certain bills taken care of, so that way we can be able to sustain ourselves if we ever come across any type of trauma that may come in our life. And we know that we're not avoided of having things that come in our life that can allow us to be able to go under financially. So you definitely want to make sure you have money set aside, so that way you can be able to pay your bills, keep that roof over your head, and be able to have food on the table. But you also want to make sure that you're doing right with your money by investing in things like assets that's going to continue to allow your money to grow and bring more money back in. So this is all pertaining to budgeting. I have a video, and if it's something that you are serious about actually getting your credit, or learning more about budgeting and learning more about, credit repair, you can actually go to my website. It's actually on the ticker down below. It's sr3creditrepair.com. Again, it's sr3creditrepair.com. And I have on my website some information about budgeting, some information about credit repair, but also I provide a free DIY, do it yourself credit repair ebook where you can actually get it for free. That's correct. All you have to simply do is put in your email and you get that free DIY credit repair book that you can start utilizing immediately to start working on your credit and to improve your credit score. So, what I want to do right now is actually go over a website, my website, so that way you can see what do you get by far as in knowing how to budget on our program, because we believe in the power of budgeting, because budgeting is so very important. If you know how to budget your money, you know exactly what you have, and you know exactly how much money you're making, you know exactly how much money is coming in, and you need to know how much money is going out so you can stay balanced on your books. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is play this video so you can understand on our program everything that you will be getting to know about budgeting. Because when you're talking about credit repair, it's more than just your credit score. What we like to do is teach our clients the importance of financial literacy. Financial literacy is knowing that you need to actually improve your credit score. But what we want to do is teach you how to do the financial way of budgeting your money, knowing what you can afford, knowing what you can't afford. Because what we don't want you to do is, once we get your credit score to a good score, we don't want to see you come back again because you lack the discipline of budgeting. So budgeting is very important. So take a time and some moment of your time to actually watch this video to everything that what you're be getting, what you would be getting as a client when you actually come on board as a customer.
Creating a budget is an excellent way to track your spending, which will help you to avoid debt and increase your savings. Your personal budget will allow you to see exactly where your money is going and if you are meeting your financial goals each month. Your first step is to select which month you are budgeting. Most likely, you are starting with the current month, which is selected by default. Please be aware that you will have the ability to go back and view and edit your previous month's budget, as well as enter information for the next 2 months. After your first budget is complete, a Copy Previous Values button will appear, allowing you to transfer over all information from your previous month's budget so that you do not need to re-enter it all. Then you can make edits to individual fields as necessary. Enter your total household income that is available for you to allocate towards your bills and monthly expenses. This may just be your income, but could include a spouse's income, as well as any additional money coming in, such as income from a rental property. Click Save to set your income amount. Next, you will break down your expenses by category. Select each category by clicking on the plus sign. This will create a drop-down of the individual entry fields for this category. For example, Housing and utilities will cover everything from your rent or mortgage payment to your water and gas. Enter the amount you are budgeting for each expense under the budget entry field. How much should you budget? Your mortgage or rent payment is a fixed expense, so enter that payment amount here. For items such as water and gas, come up with a number based on your average monthly payments. It's better to round up or guesstimate on the higher end because then you won't have to worry about going over your budget. At the top of each section, you will see a fixed monthly expense category. If you already have a budgeted amount that covers all or a combination of items in this category, you can enter the total here. Just be sure not to add the total and add it as an individual item. Expenses should only be covered one time. Continuing entering your budgeted amounts for each entry that applies to you in each category, you will want to account for all of your expenses for the most accurate results. For categories that apply to you but are not listed, you can add that amount under Additional Expense. Once you have entered in your budgeted amounts, be sure to select Save at the bottom of the page so that you don't lose your entries. You can also use the Save button if you want to stop and return to complete your budget at another time. Click Save anytime you add new information to your budget. Throughout the month or at the end of the month, revisit your budget to fill in the Spent field. Your Spent field is the actual amount of money that was paid for that expense this month. Did you hit your budget exactly? If so, you can click the copy icon so that your budgeted amount will appear in your Spent field. Remember, once you add any information into your budget, you'll want to click the Save button to set your entries and have them apply to your budget report. After you've completed each month, select your budget report from your menu. Using this report, you can track how many months you've been budgeting, your income each month, the amount you budgeted and spent, and if you went over or under your budget that month. If you went over your budget this month, go back and look at which categories or specific entries caused you to overspend. Maybe you spent a little too much on dining out this month. Next month, try to cut back and see if you can hit your budget. Maybe your electricity bill is extremely high this month, and you know you can save by remembering to turn off lights and electronics when they're not in use. Watching where your money's going is the best way to start saving. Were you under budget this month? Don't rush out and spend what's left over. Consider adding this extra money to a savings account where you can create an emergency fund or meet a savings goal. Each month you create a budget and make any necessary adjustments, you will be closer to maintaining your goal of hitting or being under budget. Congratulations on creating your personal budget with your protection plan.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Everything that you'll be getting as a client, as far as, and not just focusing on your credit score, but focusing on the importance of budgeting. And it's so very important to pay close attention to your money and learning how to manage your money, because oftentimes is that we can find ourselves spending a little bit too much money one month, and then next month we can actually fall behind on paying our bills, or something next month can come up where something went on with the car. It's an unexpected expense and you have to pay several $1,000s, and then you fall behind. So you want to make sure that you understand your threshold. Nobody knows or understands your money situation more than you. That should be the case. You should watch and see how much money you have coming in, and then be able to know how much money that you have going out towards bill, and how much money you have towards, entertainment, dining out, things of that nature. So that way you can have a consistent positive flow where you're not in the red, but you can stay in the green. Okay. So let me just go over some of the other things that you'll be getting as a client. So there are some tips that we have that you'll have your own personal portfolio website, and it will be in contingents for you to understand how to budget, where you can see that you could put in all the money that you have coming in, the money that you have coming out, your entertainment. You can do all that, and it could be tailor made for your personal situation. Now, one of the tips is that you must be realistic about your budget. Make sure you set realistic expectations. That's very important. Tip number 2 is differentiate between needs and wants in your budgets. I was talking about this earlier. It's understanding the power of being disciplined enough to understand the difference between a want and a need. Tip number 3 is to align your budget with your goals and values. So, whatever your goals are, let's say, for an example, that you want to purchase a house, then you need to understand you need to set certain goals, which means you may need to actually pay down some of the debt on your credit card. So that way, when you actually go into the underwriter or mortgage lender, you will be feeling confident enough to understand that your DTI is at a good place. Now, tip number four is to review and recalculate your budget. And this can happen periodically every month. Whatever the situation on what you're trying to do, whatever your goals are, you need to learn how to review and recalculate your budget if you need to do so. Last but not least, the tip is include savings as an expense in your budget. And the reason why is you want to do that is because when you're putting money and the savings, then you need to act like it's already spent, which means you want to make sure that you're not touching that money. That money is gone. It's in your savings account. You're not worried about it anymore, because you want to make sure that you have certain money aside, amount of money certain aside for emergency purposes, because we all know that emergencies do happen. And one of the great things I like about our website for our clients is that we actually have a quiz. So you will be taking a budgeting quiz, and it will be contingent far as on making sure that our clients understand what you need to do when you're talking about budgeting. Now, we do have some Q&As that some of my clients may have. So what we try to do is put some of the common questions that our customers and our soon-to-be customers, and they just inquiring, want to know about our services. So question number one is, how would a budget help me gain control of my finances? That's a common question that we get. And the answer is that you can read it right here is, think of a budget as a financial roadmap. It will guide you to your destination, and it will also reduce arguments and improve relationships, because you and your family will know where you're going financially and providing a smoother ride along the way. One thing I do know, and I put a post up on my Facebook with me and my wife, is about the importance of managing your money, because we do know that in marriages, sometimes failed marriages come from finances. And we do know that finances is a big thing, especially when you're coming together as one, where you're trying to achieve and accomplish things in your life. And if you have a spouse that's not willing to coexist with you and understand about the importance of having a good credit score, the importance of having a savings account, the importance of investing in your money into assets and not liabilities, then it can cause some major problems within that relationships. Another question is common is that, will budgeting help improve my credit? That's a common question that we get. And the answer to that is that by truly understanding how much it costs to be you, you can make adjustments in living the right way, right? And the reason why you want to make adjustments tailored to what you have going on, because if you find yourself that you're living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes you need to reevaluate your life. You need to reevaluate your expenses, reevaluate your income, and you need to tailor to that. So that way, hopefully you can make those adjustments that hopefully you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes you may need to cut out some things that you probably really like in order to gain back some of that expenses, and to be able to remove some of that debt. And you may be able to identify ways to get out of debt and to be able to stay out of debt. Now, another common question is, what should I do if I find my expenses outweigh my income? Now, documenting purchases allows you to identify the leaks in your budget, because you weren't keeping tabs on where the money was going. Do you spend a few dollars each day on coffee? Do you pull cash out of your wallet or purse without any thought? Now that you know where your money is going, eliminate some of your non-essentials and allocate that money towards your bills, your debts, and your savings. So basically, what is that saying? Is that you want to make sure that you're managing things to the T. And you want to make sure is that even though that you may be paying a couple of dollars on coffee, and if you're doing that every single day or doing the work week, Monday through Friday, that does add up. Let's say, for an example, you're paying $5 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. 5 times 5, that's $25, right? Now, if you do $25 times 4, then that gives you how much money a month that you're spending on coffee. And that money possibly could be used towards paying off a bill that's monthly. So that way it can kind of eliminate that expense and allow you to get back into the green. Now, another common question is, how should I prepare for holidays or months where my expenses may be higher? You should always plan ahead and create a savings so that you're prepared for additional expenses that may arise. Utilize the savings section of your budget, add it to it as much as you can each month. This will prepare you for days that you know that you're going to be spending more than usual. Now, last but not least, we have the question is, what's the best way to budget by changing income and expenses? When it comes to your income, be conservative and guess low. If your income exceeds the amount of you factor into your budget, all the better. But you don't want to be caught short because you were very overly optimistic. For expenses, do the opposite and guess high. This too will give you some wiggle room when something unexpected pops up. And that's the name of the game here. That's the strategic way to plan, is that you don't want to wait till something bad happens, because that's the name of the game. When it's something bad is happening, it puts you in a tough spot. Often you're stuck and you cannot find yourself to get out of the situation. And it is almost like a snowball effect, right? So what you want to do is, when things are going good, that's when you want to be wise and you want to be proactive by making sure that you're setting up your finances correctly. Now, with all that being said, these are all the things that you get as a client with us that's going to teach you about the importance of budgeting. And it's something that is very important. It's something that you should be mindful of, because budgeting is very crucial. It is critical when you're in the credit repair process of getting your credit to a higher score. So definitely, if this is something that you're interested in and want to know more about it, all you simply have to do is go to my website, sr3creditrepair.com, and then you can actually simply send me an email. It has a spot on my website where you could put in your email, and at the same time, you'll get an actual free DIY credit ebook, credit repair ebook. And also, we can be able to set up a consultation if you would like to speak to me personally or one of my team members. We can be able to set that up, so that way we can kind of go over your personal situation and we can actually come up a plan to help you to budget and also to help improve your credit score. So thank you for joining the Affirmative Talk Show, and definitely tune in to the next financial literacy video where we'll go over the power of financial stability and creating generational wealth. I'm Samuel Richardson III, your host. Take care, and as always, stay blessed.